Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I am your host, Rob Dial. If you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another podcast episode. And if you're out there and you love this and you want some extra tips and tricks on how to improve your mindset, go ahead and go to mondayemail.com right now. Once again, mondayemail.com. Every Monday, I send out an email with some tips and tricks of how to improve your mindset, to improve your life, to improve your business, to improve your relationships. So if you want to join us, it is absolutely free. Once again, it is mondayemail.com. Today, we're going to be talking about just suffering a little bit. I'm going to talk about one way to have massive growth in 2023. I was talking with a friend of mine, and he's done, quite a bit of growth. And he was talking about how he's trying to get to the next level. He's done courses, he's hired a coach, and he was asking himself, he's asking me, what is the next level? How do I get to the next level? And what I told him was the idea of actually suffering. And he was like, I don't really know what you mean by that. And I was like, well, I know him really well. I've known him for years and years and years. And I said, when you look at the growth that you've had and how you've been working on yourself, it is good, but it hasn't been that hard. And most of your growth has actually been, I would say, more knowledge-based, more than it's been actual physical or emotional growth. And it's been knowledge-based. It's been courses. It's been reading books. It's been talking to somebody else. But there hasn't been any applied suffering, I like to call. And what I mean is finding the edge of your comfort zone and pushing past it. Pushing for the sake of nothing else but pushing. And he doesn't like restriction. He doesn't like to be restricted. He likes freedom. And so I told him that staying away from restriction is actually keeping him from being free. And he likes to have no restriction and do what he wants. And he set up a job to make sure that he's that way. And I said, listen, you think that you don't want restriction and that not having restriction is going to make you free, but restricting yourself for the sake of actually just restricting yourself is going to make you more free. And he's like, I don't understand what that is. And so we started talking about it. I'll tell you about what I mean by that. But he thinks he's free. But when you hate to avoid something, you're not free. And so he's not mentally free from what he feels around restriction. And so the next level for him, the next level of freedom is to actually make himself become okay with restriction, become okay with feeling like I don't want to fucking do this, but doing it anyways. That's where you actually find another level of freedom. And so he's been working on creating that. And basically the idea is doing what you don't want to do, because on the other side of that is growth. Because when you don't want to do something and it feels restrictive and you go past that, you find another level of your freedom outside of your comfort zone. And so when there's a intersection of the gut and the brain. The gut feels like you should do it, but the brain doesn't want to do it. So your gut's like, man, I should definitely, I'll use cold plunging as an example, because people hate cold plunges. I hate cold plunges. But I also love the way that I feel after cold plunges. I've done hundreds and hundreds of sessions of cold showers and cold plunges. I have a cold plunge in my garage. I've done hundreds of sessions. And even thinking about doing it makes me be like, fuck that. I just don't like it. But I do like coming in contact with the little inner bitch that says, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and doing it anyways. And so the gut feels like, man, you should definitely do this. It'll make you feel better. It'll wake you up. It'll help reduce your inflammation. It'll be able to push you past your comfort, and you can find another version of yourself after. But the brain's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Why? Because the brain is a safety mechanism, and your growth is on the other side. Your next level of growth most likely is on the other side of what you don't want to do. I'll use cold showers as an example again. If you just do it for 30 to 60 days straight, you'll find a version of you, and we could use cold showers as an example, but I'll use other examples as well. It could be working out. It could be a new diet. It could be meditating because you're too anxious. It could be you don't think, you're thinking too much, you're emotional, and you journal every single day. So journaling could be a part of it, meditation could be a part of it, a diet could be a part of it, cold showers could be a part of it, working out could be a part of it, whatever it is. Pick one thing and say, I'm going to do this thing for the next 30 days. Or I'm going to do this thing for the next 60 days. So let's use cold showers as an example and use another example as well. Cold showers as an example. And you say, I'm going to do this thing no matter what for the next 30 days. And you just freaking do it. And as long as you do that thing, you have accomplished what you needed to for the day. If cold showers are your thing and you do it for 30 days, you're going to notice at the end of those 30 days, a different version of you mentally. Physically, you'll be different. All these things will be different, but mentally is what I really care about. And it'll be a version of you that when you feel resistance, it's easier to execute. Because you're going to feel resistance a lot of times in your life with relationships, with starting your business, with many different things. And when you can feel this resistance and do it anyways, and make that a mental muscle, there's a new version of you on the other side of that. Let's use another example. That's cold showers. Let's say working out. For me, I worked out this morning. And if I'm being honest with you, I say this basically every time I talk about working out. I didn't want to work out this morning. I was just not excited about it. But I was like, I have to do it. Right? And so there's a version of you that's the same resistance that you're met with before cold showers of like, nah, man, you've had a long morning. You had a team call. You had this going on. You're so busy today. Just push your workout for tomorrow. So I met that resistance and I was like, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to do it anyways. So what if you just work out for the next 30 days in a row? What would your life look like if you just worked out for 30 days? Like as long as you check off that box of working out for 30 days, it's going to be a different version of you. Your body's going to be different. That's of course. But what we're really working with is the mentality of I didn't want to do it. I did it anyways. I didn't want to do it. I did it anyways. And what you start doing is actually developing better habits. And so another example is, maybe you are too anxious sometimes, or you think too much, or you're too emotional and you don't understand your emotions. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to journal how I feel and why I feel this way every single day. And there's going to be days when you're going to wake up and you're not going to want to journal. And you're going to be like, nah, not today. But you're like, you know what? That's my ego speaking. I'm going to journal anyways. And then you have another level of a breakthrough of starting to understand yourself a little bit better and understand your emotion a little bit better. And you're not as anxious as you used to be, right? And so you meet resistance. When you start doing something consistently, day in, day out, you're going to meet resistance at some point in time. And the idea is, how do I meet that resistance and go past the resistance? Because when you feel discomfort, you need to feel discomfort. Because there's no benefit unless there's a little bit of a risk. There's no benefit unless there's a little bit of pushing past what you're comfortable doing. And I always say this, if you feel uncomfortable with doing a cold shower, with working out, with journaling, you are meeting the physical manifestation of your comfort zone. So to back off when you feel that resistance is to stay in your comfort zone. But to feel the resistance and go, oh, this is my comfort zone, I'm going to lean a little bit past it, is you stepping outside of your comfort zone every single day. And for you to be a more expansive, different version of yourself in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year from today, you need to have a little bit of applied suffering to find the edge of your comfort zone and push a little bit past it every single day, right? And so you have to do something that's past your comfort zone. How different would you feel if for the next 30 to 60 days, you just made yourself work out every single day? Or you made yourself do the cold showers, or you made yourself journal every single day? How different do you think you'd be in 30 days? Like what does the other side of you look like 30 days from today or 60 days from today when you just do that? Because the thing about growth, to have a significant amount of growth, like over the next 5 years, you're going to have a significant amount of growth if you do this, of course. But it doesn't take a long time to have a quite significant amount of growth. It's never too late to change. The oldest person who's ever gone through one of my courses, I love it. She was 93 years old. And I'm like, hell yes, I want to be you when I'm 93. Where I'm 93 years old, I'm like, I'm still not satisfied. I still want to grow. I still want to become better, right? And so it's never too late to change. It's never too late to turn it around. It takes pushing yourself out of your comfort zone every single day. And that's how a new version of you is made. And doing it consistently over and over and over again. I always say that your comfort zone is very similar to a rubber band. And so if you think of a rubber band, if you're holding onto a rubber band, the further that you get from normal, you're pulling it and pulling it and pulling it and pulling it, the harder it's going to try to pull you back to normal. But if you pull a rubber band long enough and far enough, what happens? It snaps. And that is what we're trying to do with that comfort zone of yours, to snap out of your comfort zone and design a new version of you. So I want you to find one thing that is outside of your comfort zone, and I want you to do it every single day for the next 30 days. And that's how I want you to start off your new year. One thing and one thing only for those 30 days, and see what version of you is on the other side of that. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you're out there and you want to join a journey with myself and hundreds of other people to actually push ourselves out of our comfort zone and create a new version of ourselves in this new year, and you want to make 2023 the best year of your life, we have a challenge, a 31-day challenge called Limitless 31. You can go to limitless31.com. There's a video up there that explains everything to you of how it works and the way it goes. I will be doing daily live lessons with you guys so I can answer your questions every single day, Monday through Friday, for the entire month of January. Inside of the challenge, I'll also be giving you guided meditations to help you with your daily meditations. I'll also be giving you daily journaling prompts to help you with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to have all of us, every single person in the challenge is going to have 7 small habits that we need to do every single day to improve our lives. And that's what we're going to be doing every single day for those 31 days so that by February 1st, we have a new version of ourselves, because 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by February 1st. And so our goal is, how can we make sure that as a team, all of us together, we stick together and we make sure that we push ourselves for the entire month of January so that by February 1st, we've already got new habits and we're already on the right track for 2023. So if you want to learn more about it, go to limitless31.com. If you join before Christmas, if you listen to my voice since before Christmas and you join, you will actually get $50 off of the price. So there's a discount to be able to do it that way. So if it's before Christmas, I would make sure that you rush over to it. If it is after Christmas, you're going to go and get the actual normal price. So if you want to join us and learn more, once again, it's limitless31.com. I would love to see your face inside of the group and inside the challenge. But with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to become the strongest that you can possibly become mentally so that you can create the life that you want. Let's dive in. There's always pain in the world. And pain is like something happens, and whatever it is that happens, you have to go through. So somebody dies, that's pain. You get hurt, that's pain. Suffering is what you put yourself through. And so if somebody dies, yeah, that's painful. The suffering is when it's 4 years down the road and you still just are, sitting there and beating yourself up of like, I should have done this, I should have done that. Why wasn't? You're suffering about something that happened 4 years ago. Sure, you can miss somebody, but you're suffering. But can you take suffering and use it as a way to grow? And you can. That's called applied suffering. Applied suffering is actively putting yourself in situations where pain, discomfort, or hardship is intentionally used as basically a means to grow yourself. It could be for growth, it could be resilience, it could be deeper understanding of yourself, whatever it might be. And so it's about us developing this mindset of, if I'm going to get better, sure, it can be easy, it could be effortless, but also if I can use the other side of it, which is I am going to make myself suffer. And I'm going to use suffering as a way to get better. Now, when we hear the word suffering, I already know some of you are like, I don't want to do that shit, because suffering has a really bad connotation to it. Nobody wants to suffer. Right? Nobody wants to suffer. The pain versus suffering, like I was talking about a minute ago, pain is inevitable. You're going to have pain in your life. Suffering is optional. And, you can have something happen to you and it can be really suffering. Like you can have that suffering for years, like I was talking about with somebody dying. Or you can say, you know what? The universe is going to put me through circumstances to have me grow and improve. I can also just go out and seek ways for me to grow and improve. And that's what we're going to talk about today is actually how to use suffering to grow, to become better. And I want you to understand this. Let's talk about pain real quick again before we dive into the suffering side, right? Pain is the stimulus for your brain or your body to make change. So that's the simplest way you can break it down. Pain is your brain and body going, hey, something's got to change. So I'll give you an example, right? If you are cooking something on the stove and you accidentally put your hand on the hot stove and you feel that pain, that is your brain and body saying, do something different, change, right? If you're going and walking on a hot concrete, let's say you're coming from the beach, you didn't put your shoes on, you're walking through the hot asphalt and your feet start burning, that is your brain and body saying, hey, do something different, change what you're doing. If you are working out and you feel pain of working out, that is your body saying, hey, do something different. And it could be like the pain of like the muscle, right? Which is fine. But it could be like you tweak something and it just like the other day I literally tweaked and it felt like a stabbing pain in my shoulder when I was working out. And I was like, oh yeah, I did something wrong. I'm going to stop using the left shoulder as much as I can. And so it's forcing you, pain forces you to change. Pain forces you to take action. Okay, good to know. Now, I believe, if you want to go on this journey with me, I believe that the universe will give you pain throughout your lifetime if you are on the wrong path. If you're on the wrong path, the universe will come to you, and it will, universe, God, life, whatever it is that you want to call it, will come to you and be like, it'll start to be a little bit of pain. It's kind of like, I always say, the universe speaks to you in a whisper, and then if you don't listen for long enough time, then it's going to hit you with a brick. And then if you don't listen for a long enough time, it's going to run you over with a truck. And so it's like an example would be, I'm eating really terribly. I'm eating terrible. And I get this thought in my head of like, hey, maybe I should take better care of myself. Yeah, maybe I should take better care of myself. And that's like the whisper that comes in. And then, there's the brick that comes in and it's like, I'm eating terribly, and I'm gaining so much weight that my knees start to hurt. And now I have knee issues. Okay. That's kind of like the brick. Oh my gosh, I tore my ACL from something that I just did because I weighed too much and I tore my ACL. Okay. That's the universe hitting me with a brick. And then I keep going down this road and I don't listen. And then I have a heart attack. That is the universe hitting me with a fucking truck saying, are you going to listen to me? And so pain is just stimulus to take a different action. Easy to think about, right? If you think about how a muscle grows, a muscle has to go through pain in order to grow. Easy enough to know. A plant, if you think about how a plant grows, a plant isn't just like this beautiful thing that grows out of the ground. It can be, but there's a lot of a lot of breaking and stress and all of this that has to go. It's a lot of force that has to go in order for a seed to break open for the plant to start coming out. And then the plant has to then force its way out of the ground and force its way down through the ground for its roots. It's not just like this beautiful thing that happens. It's something where there's a lot of actual force that has to go into it. Same thing with like a lobster. If you look at like how a lobster grows, most people think that a lobster, if you've ever held one, is like this hard animal. And it's not. It's a really soft animal that lives inside of a hard shell. And when it's starting to grow, the actual exoskeleton doesn't ever grow. And so what it does is it goes under rocks and it breaks through its exoskeleton and it completely gets its exoskeleton off, grows another one that is larger, and then regrows into that. And a lobster never stops growing over the course of its entire life. And so the reason why I say this is because the stimulus for the lobster's growth to break out of its shell is a lot of pain because it doesn't fit anymore. So it's got to actually break itself open in order to grow. Hey, real quick, I want to introduce you to something called Mindset Mentor Plus. If you love this podcast, you will absolutely love what I'm about to talk about. I designed Mindset Mentor Plus to help you actively integrate every one of these episodes into your life. And here's how it works. With every episode of this podcast that comes out, Mindset Mentor Plus subscribers get more. You're going to get multiple page, detailed, printable worksheets, effectively a mini masterclass that's way more in depth than just this podcast. They also come with journaling questions, challenges, assignments, and so much more, so that you're not just listening to these podcasts passively, but you're actively integrating them into your life. That way you improve much faster. I also do monthly Q&A sessions in there and much, much more. If you want to learn more about it, go to mindsetmentor.com or click the link that's down in the description. So that's what I mean by pain is a really good thing for you to listen to, for you to be there. Do you ever speak it to me in a whisper? Does the universe speak it to me? It's like another example would be maybe if you don't want to use the heart attack as an example, maybe the whisper is, you know what? I really am not enjoying my job anymore. Maybe I should look for other jobs. And then, you're not listening for a while. You're not listening for a while. And then the slap might come, hitting you with a brick. And it might be you have terrible sales performance because you don't enjoy your job. And then you get put on a performance enhancement plan. And you're like, oh man, that's a lot. And then you do a little bit better. And then you do a little bit worse again. You do a little better. And then it gets to the point where your boss just fires you. And now you have no way to pay your mortgage. Okay, well, that's getting hit by a truck. right? It's like the universe speaks to you all of these ways through different painful ways. You just got to be listening. So here's the problem, though, when you look at pain and you look at discomfort. People fear discomfort. People want to be in their comfort zone. They want to avoid it at all costs, to do anything to avoid discomfort. The word discomfort implies that it is the opposite of your comfort zone, which is where most people want to stay and most people want to die. But if you listen to this podcast, that's not what you want. I already know that, right? You know you need to get out of your comfort zone in order to get the life that you want, because you've looked at yourself, whether it's consciously sitting down and think about it or subconsciously, it's looming in the back of your head. You've started to think to yourself already, if I stay where I am for the rest of my life, I am going to hate my life in 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. And you do this real quick. Just do this. Look around you at your entire life and realize, what if life never got better? Would you be okay with that? What if you never got more? What if you never had more fun or more travel or more love or more money in your bank account, and you just stayed in that comfort zone until the day you died? Would you feel like you had a great life? Would you feel like you fulfilled your potential? If you do, hey, turn off this podcast. I think you're good to go. You don't need this anymore. If you don't, well, then now we've got to start testing the edge of our comfort zones, because most people stay in their comfort zones. They do. Why? Because it's safe to stay in your comfort zone. Your brain thinks that getting outside of your comfort zone is not safe. And your comfort zone, just so you know, is where your dreams go to die. And so if you want to get better, if you want your life to be better, discomfort actually needs to be your best friend. You need to seek discomfort. You need to actually go on a mission to be more uncomfortable. When you look at your body, in order to get the body that you want, you have to be uncomfortable. Working out is not comfortable. You have to sweat, you have to hurt, you have to be sore, but your body grows. You have to put yourself sometimes through so much stress that you just go so hard that you throw up, right? Oh God, none of that is fun. It doesn't feel comfortable to do any of that, but your body grows. You get more muscle, you get less fat, you start to be more confident, you start to like the way that you look, you feel more accomplished, you have more confidence because you showed up and you worked out when you didn't want to work out. Your brain and your mindset work the exact same way. There's this psychological concept that's called neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity, when you look at it in neurology, means basically, if the simplest way, is your brain's ability to change. So your brain, until the day you die, has abilities to change. And I wrote about this extensively. I have an entire chapter of this in my book, Level Up, where when you decide to do something and you do it and you do it and you do it, your brain is forced to change. It is forced to change. Like if you look at people who have to be, one thing I wrote about in my book is the London taxi cab drivers. In order to become a London taxi cab driver, you have to memorize the entire map of London. Memorize it in your head. And they did studies on these people's brains before they became taxi cab drivers. And they looked at them and where they were. And then they looked at them 6 years, I think it was, down the road. And the spatial awareness and mapping part of their brain in all of them 6 years later grew. That's crazy. That means that they changed their brain simply because they started memorizing the London map. But neuroplasticity only happens when you do something that is not comfortable for you, something that pushes you, something that is typically outside of what you do. So you have to seek this discomfort. Oh my gosh, do you think that it's easy to sit down and memorize the entire map of London? Oh my God, I bet it's hell. But these people's brains change in order for them to be able to memorize it. Your brain has the ability to change. If you want to get better at math, you can do it. If you want to get better at piano, you can do it. If you want to become better at thinking logically, you can do it. If you want to be more empathetic, you can do it. All of these things are possible. You just have to decide what you want, and you have to push yourself to get it. And so ways that you can kind of seek discomfort, and you can use applied suffering. The first one that's the easiest for us to think of, because it's physical and we can see it, is like physical training and exercise. Do not discount how much better your brain works, how much more emotionally secure you feel when you push yourself at the gym. It's not like, oh, hey, working out's just going to help you out. It's like there's actual studies that show that physical training, that exercise make your brain and your emotions better. And so how can you push yourself physically in order to have that expand who you are and become better? So that's the first thing that I think about, which is very obvious for everybody. The second thing I think about is like mental toughness. Identify something that you don't want to do and do it every single day. Whatever it might be. It might be, okay, you know what? I don't want to go for a run today. Whatever my brain says I don't want to do, I'm going to do. I'm going to develop the mental toughness of doing it. I'm going to develop the mental toughness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump inside of the cold plunge today. So I went for a run yesterday. I'm going to do the cold plunge. The cold plunge, the reason why I love cold plunges, and I've been like really hardcore on cold plunges for about 9 years now, and I love that it's really starting to catch up to people, is sure, it's got physical benefits, but more than anything else, I just really care about the mental benefits of it. Because when you're about to hop in like 35, 40 degree water, the part of your brain that tries to talk you out of everything comes online, and it tries to talk you out of it. And it no matter how many times I've done cold plunges, hundreds and hundreds of times, it still happens exactly the same. It wants me to delay. It doesn't want me to do it. It wants me to delay. It doesn't want me to do it. And I have to go, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to build the muscle of not listening to the inner bitch. And I'm going to do what is outside of my comfort zone and what my little inner voice doesn't want me to do, that's been holding me back. Because that little voice is the thing that's holding you back from everything that you want in this world, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get inside of the cold plunge. And then you get in the cold plunge, and the first 45 seconds, your little inner voice is going, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. You've done enough. Okay, you did it. Get out. You just got to stay in. Nope, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm the one that's in control. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm the one that's in control. And so how can you start to seek discomfort with your mental toughness? That's something to think about, right? How can you start to seek discomfort with your spiritual growth? So with a lot of people, and I get messages all the time of people who struggle with meditating. Okay, well, if you struggle with 5 minutes of meditation and you want to get better at your spiritual growth, at becoming more calm, well, then what I would recommend is doing an hour of meditation. You will fight yourself the entire time. But as you start doing it more and more and more, you start getting better. And so for some of you guys that struggle with 5 minutes, maybe you're not going to jump immediately to an hour. Can you do 15? Can you do 30? Try it out. I used to start at 5 minutes when I first started meditating back in 2009. Now I'll usually do about 30 to 45 minutes every single morning. I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat where we were doing it like 8 to 10 hours a day. That was extremely discomforting. That was hard, super hard. And, but it was amazing to go through. And so that was my example of like, I'm going to push myself spiritually because this is way outside of my comfort zone. To do 10-day silent meditation retreat, I can't talk for 10 days. I can't look people in the eyes. I can't journal. I can't do yoga. I can't do anything else. I can't stretch. The only thing that you could do is you could either be meditating or you could go outside and like stare at a tree if you wanted to. That was immense amounts of discomfort for me in order to try to grow spiritually. What else can you grow at? You can grow. So we went physical, we went mental, we went spiritually. What about emotionally, right? What if you decide that I'm going to start going to therapy? I'm going to start learning myself more. I'm going to get a coach, whatever it is that you want. You know what? I want to get really good. I need to get better at connecting with people of the opposite sex. And, the first one I'm going to work with is because maybe you have a disconnection from your father. You've never really felt really connected to your father. And so now you don't really feel as connected as you want to be with your husband. Okay, maybe you get with your husband and you're like, hey, honey, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with our relationship, but I do think it could be better. What do you think about us going and doing couples therapy? Oh, yeah. That'll change you emotionally. I promise you that. You're going to learn stuff about them. You're going to learn stuff about yourself. You're going to learn stuff about how to connect. I've gone to a couples therapist before. One of my friends is a couples therapist, and I did not know so much about myself before I went to a couples therapist years ago. It's like 8 years ago now. And he said things that I never knew about myself. And I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense as to why I've screwed relationships up in the past. And so these things, none of them are comfortable. Going and working out really hard, not comfortable. Putting yourself into cold exposure, not comfortable. Meditating longer than you're comfortable with, not comfortable. Going to therapy, not comfortable. Going to couples therapy, not comfortable. But then I want you to think about this. Are any of them going to kill you? No. Are they going to help you grow? Yes. Will you be absolutely safe? You will. Don't worry, honey, you're going to be great. You're going to be safe. You're not going to die from meditating for longer. You're not going to die by doing cold exposure. You're Now, don't go jump into an ice bath and then stay there for 2 hours, right? That's the first thing I'll say. That's the only thing you could die on is hypothermia if you want to stay in for longer. So don't listen to me on that one. Do whatever you want with the cold exposure. Are you going to die from going and working out? Absolutely not. Are you safe? Yes. Then go full force. Start pushing the boundaries of what you can do. And here's something that I want you to do. And this is one of my favorite assignments to give people. And especially because of the fact that I always get tagged on Instagram when I do this, okay? I want you to do something completely, incredibly uncomfortable today. I want you to go, next time you're in a checkout line, next time you're at a coffee shop, you're in Walmart, wherever you are, I want you to go and I want you to lay down on the floor for 2 minutes. I know, it sounds weird as hell, doesn't it? But it's so fun to watch people do this. I remember the last time I said this on a podcast episode, I got tagged in so many videos of like people laying down in Starbucks. I had a lady that tagged me and she had laid down in Walmart and one of the employees came up to her and they're like, ma'am, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. And she goes, okay. And just walked away. Like, think about that. Are you going to die from laying down in a coffee shop? No. Are you going to be like, oh my God, germs? Yeah. Are you going to die from the germs? No. Right? But it's something that you're so uncomfortable with. It seems so silly, but why not do it? Why are people afraid of doing it? Why don't we just get more used to being uncomfortable, to seeking discomfort, for actually going out there and trying to use applied suffering as a way to grow so that we don't stay in this box that we've been in for our entire lives, so that we can start to push the boundaries of who we are. And so using applied suffering is the secret to helping you become mentally strong. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on your Instagram stories. Tag me in at Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. The only way this podcast grows is from you guys sharing it. And so if you would share it, you would help the podcast immensely. I want to continue to keep impacting people's lives, keep helping people. And when you guys share it, we grow through grassroots, which is the only way this grows. So if you've ever gotten anything from anything that I've ever said, please do me a favor, share this on your stories. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Dial. If you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another podcast episode. And if you love this podcast, please give us a rating and review however you listen to us. The more positive ratings and reviews we get, the more that this platform show this podcast to people who have never listened to it before. Today, we're going to talk about how your limitations, your self-limiting beliefs are fully 100% optional. And if you want to create the life that you want and unlock the potential that you have deep inside of you, you're really going to have to overcome these self-limiting beliefs. And I want to tell you a story that kind of shows the self-limiting beliefs that we as humans impose on ourselves. Maybe you've heard of it before, maybe you haven't, but there's a story about the 4-minute mile. And the 4-minute mile, just to give you an idea, before 1954, it was thought that running a mile in under 4 minutes was beyond human capabilities. Like, doctors actually came out and said that it was physically impossible for a human to run in less than 4 minutes an entire mile. They thought that the human heart would explode. That was actually what they said. It would explode. It was beyond the capacity of the human body to do that. But in 1954, a guy named Roger Bannister, who was a medical student, ran the 4-minute mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds, just under 4 minutes. Everybody thought that it was impossible until Roger Bannister ended up breaking the 4-minute mile. He showed that it was possible. And then here's what's really crazy about it. Once he showed that it was possible, other people who were runners stopped limiting themselves. They realized that it was this mythical barrier and it was self-imposed limitations. And then here's what's crazy about it. After he broke the 4-minute mile, no human in the history of humans had ever ran under 4 minutes for a mile. And then 46 days after he broke the record, a runner named John Landy broke his record. And within 2 years of the 4-minute mile, over 300 people ran a mile in under 2 minutes. Now, does that mean that the human heart expanded and that once Roger Bannister did it, everybody changed and humans evolved very quickly over the next 46 days in the next 2 years? No, they had the ability all of the time to do it. But it was a common belief that it was not possible that held them back. So when you think about that, I want you to think about how many 4-minute miles do you have in your life? How many things do you think are fully impossible right now, and you're holding yourself back from doing them simply because you've never done it before, or you've never seen somebody do it before. And so you're sitting there saying, yeah, it's not possible. There's no way I can do it. Oh, I can't become wealthy because I come from a poor family. Or I can't have a loving marriage because I never saw a loving marriage as a kid. Or, I can't be a great business owner because I've had failed businesses in the past. Our lives, my life, your life, if you look through our entire lives, my 37 years is just littered with self-imposed limiting beliefs. The same goes for you as well. Think about how many times you haven't done something, or you haven't put 100% into with 100% of your mental capacity and physical capacity to do something simply because you thought, you know what, I probably can't do it. And you had that self-limiting belief and you didn't put everything into it. If you look at so many times throughout human history, we've had self-limiting beliefs until somebody stepped up and said, I'm going to think differently. Like, people thought that human flight was impossible. They used to look at birds and be like, man, it would be amazing if humans could fly. And they thought it was impossible until the Wright brothers proved them wrong. People thought that putting a man in space was impossible. And then the Russians put a man in space in 1961. People said that landing on the moon was impossible until 1969 when Neil Armstrong proved them wrong. And, there's obviously a lot of people that are saying, oh, that was a fluke, that was real, that was not real. Who knows what it actually was or was not, but it seems like the Americans were going to be going back to the moon again, and we'll see if it is actually real. But you're telling me, if it is true and it did really happen, that in 1969, we successfully shot a rocket ship to a rock that's 238,900 miles away, and it's orbiting the Earth at 2,288 miles an hour, and then got them to take off from that rock and land back on Earth safely. And you can't accomplish your dreams. You can't create the life that you want to. You can't create this business. You can't become a successful musician or painter. You're telling me that in 1969, they had less technology than you have sitting in your pocket right now on your phone. And they were able to shoot somebody to the moon and bring them back. And you can't figure out a way to create your dreams? Hey, is hiring a challenge for you? Yes. Do you love a challenge? Also, yes. But you need a hiring partner that can help you rise to the challenge. You need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. So instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. Indeed can streamline your hiring with powerful tools that find you matched candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. One of the things that I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring so easy because it's all in one place. And candidates that you invite to apply are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to US Indeed data. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/dial. Offer is only good for a limited time. So claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/dial. Just go to Indeed.com/dial and support the show by saying you heard about it through this podcast. Indeed.com/dial. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Now, what do all of those things, from the 4-minute mile to the Wright brothers, to the Russians in space, to Neil Armstrong, have in common? They were impossible. And impossible is just a figment of the human imagination. They were impossible until it was done. And so I want you to think of your life. I want you to see where these things are littered all over the place. What's holding you back from creating the life that you want to? Where are you telling yourself that it's not possible for you to do it? Oh, other people might be able to do it, but you just don't know me, Rob. You don't know where I come from. You don't know my family. You don't know my background. You don't know how hard my childhood was. You don't know the trauma that I've been through. And you just basically fight for your own limitations. So many of us fight harder for our limiting beliefs than we do for the dreams that we actually have and want to create for our lives. What limits are you placing on yourself that are completely 100% false, but you're believing them as if they're 100% true, as if they're written into the fabric of the universe? Is it the fear of failure that's holding you back? Is it the fear of success? Is it the fear of uncertainty? Oh, I don't know what's going to be happening in the future. I don't know. If I become successful, will everybody that I love abandon me? If I become successful, will I lose all of it? Is it the fear of making a mistake? Is it the fear of being judged by somebody else and that's why you're not doing it? Is it the fear of disappointing someone? Is it the fear of disappointing yourself? Is it the fear of putting so much effort towards something and then it not coming to fruition the way that you actually want it to? Are you making all of these things up in your head? You are. Are you taking the safe route? Are you playing small because you don't want to be seen? Are your dreams so big and so amazing that it paralyzes you thinking of all the stuff that you must do to get there? Because if you look at all of the fears that you have, none of those fears actually exist. And I've I don't want to say I've become an expert on fears, but I've become pretty damn expert. I've developed an expertise around fears because I had to research the hell out of it for my book. And my entire first chapter of my book, Level Up, is entirely on fear. And I had to research fear over and over and over again. And what I found is that when you look at fear, there's two different types of fears. One type of fear is a primal fear. And that primal fear means that physical pain or death could be attached to it. So it is primal fear. It is primal. We do not want to die. We do not want to cease living. But if you look at the fear of disappointing other people, the fear of failure, the fear of success, uncertainty, making mistakes, those are intellectual fears. Those are not primal fears. And so what we're doing is those intellectual fears that we're bringing up and we're making up inside of our own head, they don't actually truly exist. They do not exist in reality right now. So we're making the boogeyman and then fighting the boogeyman all day long and using all of our energy to fight the boogeyman, aka our fears, versus using our energy to create the life that we want. We're making up our fears and then having those fears and limiting beliefs control our entire life. Are you saying that you don't have enough money, that you don't have enough time, that you're too lazy, that you don't have a car, that your parents weren't good role models for you? I understand. You might have had a hard life. I get it. There's many people in this world who have had very, very hard lives. And that might be something that's held you back. But it's not your fault that you had a hard childhood. But it is your responsibility to use the cards that you were dealt to the best of your ability. So are you making up your limitations? Are you making up excuses? Are you making them up and then actually thinking that they're true? Because in my opinion, the human body, the human mind, we have near unlimited ability, but we restrict our potential so much because of the limitations that we put on ourselves, excuses that we make up as to why we're not living our dreams, why we can't reach our dreams. We're powerful beyond measure, incredibly powerful. I did math on this because I was just curious how much potential energy is inside of the human body. And so your body has about 40 to 50 trillion cells. And each cell has about 1.4 volts of energy in it. Now, if you do the math of about 50 trillion times 1.4, that means that potential energy that exists inside of your human body, you have about 70 trillion volts of energy inside of your body, because that's 50 trillion times 1.4 volts. You have about 70 trillion volts of energy inside of your body. And then I measured it because I was like, how powerful is that? Like, is it very powerful? Is that how much is inside of like my lights at my house? I don't know how much it is. So I was like, what's something that's really powerful and electric? Oh, a lightning bolt. The highest ever recorded lightning bolt was 300 million volts. And so if you take 70 trillion, which is the potential energy inside of all of our cells, add it together, 70 trillion divided by 300 million, that means that the potential energy inside of your human body is about 233,333 times more powerful than a lightning bolt. So you're telling me that you have potential energy inside of your body that's 233,000 times more powerful than a lightning bolt, but you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, oh, I can't do it because I'm afraid of failure. Oh, I can't do it because I'm afraid of what Nancy and HR is going to say to me. You're holding yourself back. You are this incredibly powerful being that has almost near unlimited potential, but you're creating this little teeny tiny box and you're putting yourself inside the box and living in it. The way I like to think of it is you're basically like as powerful as the genie in Aladdin. You're this big, huge, powerful being, but you're putting yourself inside of this lamp. And you're saying, this is where I am. This is where I deserve to be. This is all that I believe in myself. And this infinitely powerful being is just stuck in this little teeny tiny lamp. You have to realize, you must understand that you are powerful beyond measure. Here's what we must do in order to achieve our goals. We have to rise above our limitations. They're going to be there. You're going to feel fears. You're going to feel excuses. You're going to want to create excuses. You're going to feel your self-limiting beliefs. You have to learn to break past those. When we tell ourselves that it's impossible, we must immediately remind ourselves why it is possible and how it is going to happen, how we want it to happen, and command it to happen the way that we want it to. It comes down to you, and it always comes down to what's going on inside of your head. It all comes down to what you believe. That's why I believe your mindset is the most powerful thing that you have. And that's the thing that you should be working in and day out. It's the only thing that's holding you back. It's not the money. It's not the past. It's not your current situation. It's not your spouse. It's not your family. It's not where you live. It's not your skin color. It's not your sex. It's not the fact that you don't have a car. It's not the fact that you don't have a circle of influence that's powerful and helps you out. No, it's none of those. It's what's going on in your mind. There's a study done with fleas years ago, and an average flea can jump up to 12 inches high. But when you put a flea inside of a jar and you put the top on top of it, it'll jump. And because of the fact they can jump up to 12 inches and it's a 3-inch jar, it'll hit itself, and then it learns that it can't jump any higher. And so it doesn't jump above 3 inches because it doesn't want to injure itself from the top of the jar. And then so what they do is they take the flea out of the jar, and the rest of its life, it continues to not jump higher than 3 inches. Here's the crazy part though. Then that flea will have offspring, and that offspring will not jump higher than 3 inches. So it's also learned too. Your limitations are learned from other people, but also it's passed down to your children if you don't break through it. So you can say, I want to get better, but you've also got to realize your children, if you have them, they're around, they're viewing you, they're seeing it, and they're understanding and also integrating your limiting beliefs into them as well. It's you. It's always been you. You are the one that's holding yourself back. We need to be reprogramming our minds more than we need anything else. And what I really want to do is I want you to start to think about this. I want you to start to think about how you hold yourself back. And so I want you to do is if you have a pen and paper around you, go grab a pen and paper real quick. Pause me if you need to, go get it. And I want to leave you with a question. And I want you to journal through this question and actually start to think about it. What limitations are you placing on yourself? Write them all down. Write down all of the limitations in your mind. Write down all the fears. Write down all the limiting beliefs, all of the things that you believe are true. But a belief doesn't mean that it's actually true. It's just something that you're believing is true even when it's not. So what limitations are you putting on yourself? What are you placing on yourself? Write them all down. And then what I want you to ask yourself is another question to follow up with this. How are all of those limitations false? I want you to challenge your thoughts. One of the best parts about cognitive behavioral therapy is they teach you how to challenge every single thought to see if there's truth behind it. Because all too often, we're creating thoughts and we're creating limiting beliefs and fears that are not true, but we think that they are. And you want to start to challenge your thoughts and challenge your beliefs and challenge everything that comes into your mind so you can start to reprogram them. Write all of them down and look at all of them every day. Every time you start to doubt yourself, and you'll say, oh, yeah, like I'm seeing this and I remember this fear of failure coming up before, but if I can see on this piece of paper, I challenge that fear of failure and I actually realize that, yeah, I do actually truly believe that failure is an aspect of success. It's two sides of the same coin. So therefore, I shouldn't be afraid of failure. If I want success, eventually I need to realize that I have to go through multiple layers of failure in order to achieve success. All right, I'm going to take some action. And when you start to challenge these thoughts, you actually start to reprogram yourself. If there's one thing that I don't want to be, it's realistic, because when you're realistic, you're basically following the path of other mediocre people. You're not listening to this podcast because you want to be mediocre. You're listening to this podcast because you want to create something great from your life. And so what you have to do is understand that your limitations are optional. They are not real. And if you fully want to unlock your potential, you're going to have to learn to overcome your self-limiting beliefs to create the success, the happiness, the joy, the love, the peace, everything that you want in your life. Because ultimately, you create your reality from what's going on in your mind. So That's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on your Instagram stories. Tag me in at Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. Also, if you have any ideas for extra podcast episodes you want me to cover, send that to me in a DM on Instagram. I look through all of my DMs. I don't always get time to respond to everybody because I do get a lot of DMs, but at least send me a message and maybe you'll hear me do one of the podcast episodes that you want me to do in the future. So once again, it's Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Dial. Today, I'm going to talk to you about visualization, but I'm going to talk to you about it in a way that I guarantee you've probably never heard of before. I'm going to talk to you not about visualization. I'm going to talk to you about negative or reverse visualization. You might know about visualization by now because study after study after study show how visualizing the future that you want, the life that you want, the body that you want helps you get it. It's like fact out there. You can read study after study after study. There's even studies. There was a study I found when I was researching this episode that was done in 2004. It was called Power to Muscle Power, Gaining Strength by Using the Mind. The study found that simply visualizing muscle contractions increase strength. So how crazy is this? You don't even have to move your body, but just sitting there and visualizing yourself contracting a muscle and growing that muscle can increase your strength. There's another study that I found in 1998 called Harnessing the Imagination, Mental Stimulation, Self-Regulation, and Coping that showed how visualization can impact your emotional regulation and your coping skills. And they found out that those who used positive visualization as a coping mechanism were better able to deal with stressors of life and maintain a more positive outlook than those who did not. Now that's positive visualization. I'm not going to talk to you about positive visualization today. I'm going to talk to you about negative visualization. It's called negative visualization. It's also called defense pessimism. And it originally comes from thousands of years ago, the Stoic philosophy. And now it's actually been studied. It's been studied over and over again. And there's facts that show that negative visualization works. But the idea is to visualize the thing that you are most afraid of happening. Oh shit, that sounds scary, huh? Visualize the thing that you are most afraid of happening. Visualize the absolute worst thing happening. Visualize whatever it is that you're the most afraid of. So instead of trying to throw it away in a corner and act like it doesn't exist and act like you're not thinking about it and try to, okay, it's over here to the right, but I'm not going to look to the right. I'm going to look over here to the left and I'm going to make sure that I don't look that direction. Instead of doing that, it's literally like, I'm going to look at this thing. Not only am I going to look at it, I'm going to actually visualize the absolute burning it down in a fire. The worst that could happen, I'm going to visualize that. And it seems like I get it. It seems like it's a terrible idea and it sounds counterintuitive. But trust me here, by the time we get done today, all of this is going to make a whole lot of sense to you. And you're going to see, oh, yeah, I can actually use normal visualization and I can use negative visualization, the two of those together to my advantage. And that's what I really want you to get out of today's episode. So let's say that, I'm going to give you a few examples just to kind of stir up your mind and see what could come up, right? Let's say that you have a business and you're afraid that your business is going to fail. You're afraid that it's not going to get off the ground, or you're afraid that, you have 12 employees. What if you screw it all up and all of them lose their job? And so you visualize you not taking action that you need to grow your business. Maybe visualize you making the excuses that you typically make. Maybe you visualize you, I don't know, I don't really feel like doing it. Getting all in your feelings like a Drake song and be like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't made for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough. You can visualize yourself procrastinating and visualize the business failing completely. And the worst that could happen. And when I say worst that could happen, I mean like the realistic worst that could happen. Like, not that I want you to visualize that it fails, and then after it fails and you walk out of the bank and they're like, yes, you don't have any money, sir. You walk out and you get killed by a meteor and it kills you and your entire family. Like, I don't mean that worst that could happen because that's probably not going to happen. But visualize if one of your biggest fears is that you are afraid of your business failing, instead of trying to look away from it, how do we literally envision the entire thing failing and exactly how it would? I'm going to tell you why this is really beneficial in a little while. Let's say that you're in a relationship and you're okay at it, but one of your biggest fears is like, oh, my wife is going to leave me. And instead of not paying attention to those feelings, I want you to visualize not making the relationship a priority. I want you to visualize your partner emotionally disconnecting from you. I want you to maybe even visualize them cheating on you. Maybe they cheat on you in your own bed. Oh shit, that would suck, wouldn't it? The worst that could happen. What's the worst that could happen? And then after they cheat on you, what if this? Let's switch turn the tables. Instead of that, they walk out of the house and the person that they're cheating on you with gets hit with a meteor, right? So maybe we could pull the meteor back in and have them get hit by it, right? So what is the worst that could happen with this relationship, and how could it go down in flames? And I want you to visualize the actual process, the whole thing going through from start to finish, so you can see exactly what happened and how it happened, right? Let's say that your biggest fear is your health. And I want you to visualize you not making your health a priority. Maybe you say, "Oh, I'm too busy to work out today. No, I don't have time to go shopping for stuff that's healthy. I don't have time. I'm too busy to go to the gym. I've got to take the kids I can't work out today. I can't go for a walk. I've got to take the kids to soccer practice." And excuses, right? And so you visualize yourself not going to the gym. You visualize yourself not eating the right foods. You visualize yourself gaining an extra 25 pounds. You visualize yourself ignoring the red flags. You visualize yourself eating certain things that you shouldn't, and then you start feeling depressed about it, and then you start emotional eating on top of it, and you visualize all of this stuff. You visualize walking into the doctor's office and them saying, "Hey, you have XYZ. You only have 6 months to live," whatever it might be. And you visualize the whole process, not just the ending, but like from this moment on until the ending. That's what I want you to visualize. You visualize not being at your daughter's wedding and being able to walk her down the aisle. You visualize every single part of it, and the key to it, make it hurt. Like actually make it hurt, make it painful. If you get emotional, that's even better. If you cry during this negative visualization, hell yes. Seems like it sucks, it seems depressing, but I promise you're going to see why this works in a second. If you're afraid of losing your job, I want you to visualize you not taking the right action to show your worth. I want you to visualize you ignoring the red flags of, "Oh, maybe I should do this thing, but I don't know. They're probably going to fire me anyway, so I'm not going to do it." And you actually taking the wrong action. And I want you to visualize your boss calling you up, or walking into his office and saying, "Hey, we have to let you go. You've been underperforming." I want you to visualize all of that. Maybe you have a huge fear of public speaking, but you want to get over it. And so I want you to visualize not preparing for the presentation that you have to give at work. I want you to visualize not doing enough research, getting in your feelings and saying, "Oh, I'm probably not smart enough, and I'm probably going to look like a dumbass in front of them anyways." And then you do look like a dumbass in front of them anyways. You get up there and you fumble your words. I want you to visualize you fumbling your words and screwing it all up. I want you to visualize you embarrassing yourself in front of the whole company and look like an ass in front of all. I want you to just set it all on fire. I want you just to visualize that whole thing. And here's the cherry on top. Then I want you to visualize your entire life. I want you to visualize not doing what you need to do to create the best version of yourself. Not doing all the things, not reading, not going to the gym, not eating healthy, not treating your spouse the way that you should, not treating your children the way that you should, not meditating so that you be a calmer person, not doing all the things, staying up late and not waking up early so that you don't have a morning routine, and not living up to your potential. And then getting to the end of your life and being on your deathbed and sitting there and regretting that you lived a life half-assed, that you lived a half-lived life. What would that feel like to get to the end of your life and realize there's no more time left? Nothing else I could do. Got to say goodbye. Now, some of you are already sweating inside of your car as you're driving in traffic, right? Some of you are already feeling incredibly anxious because I just named like 3 out of your 5 biggest fears. And you're like, I don't want to do that. I do not want to do negative visualization. That sounds like it sucks. Normally this guy's podcast episodes make sense, but this one makes no fucking sense, right? Some of you already feel anxious about it. It's good. It's fine. I'm going to help you make sense of it right now. Okay. We're going to talk about why this works. These are the reasons why this works. With all the studies that have been done on it, these are the reasons why it works. A couple of reasons why. Number one of the things that I find with people is that we are afraid of uncertainty. And uncertainty is a threat to the brain, because your brain doesn't know how to work through the potential threats that are coming in front of it. And so a lot of people don't like certainty. And so it takes a lot of people don't like uncertainty. People would prefer certainty. So it takes all of the uncertainty that we see in our future and makes it more certain. And what's really interesting about it, and the reason why I think this is really important, I did this just a few days ago inside of my coaching class that I have. It's called Business Breakthrough, where we teach coaches how to grow their business. And the funny thing was, I had all of them visualize it. A majority of them said the same thing in the comments. They visualized the failing of the business. I'm not taking the action, not doing what they needed to do. And so many of them said it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it's really interesting because when we have these, we basically create the boogeyman in our mind for what the future could hold. And then when we basically face the boogeyman, we realize it's really not that bad. And it would be okay even if we did face it. And so I always think about, when I think about it's not going to be as bad as we think it's going to be. I remember in 2015, when I first started this podcast 8 years ago now, I remember I could see that my company that I was working for at the time, they were starting to dissolve the sales team. I was on the sales team. The sales team, the company did not have any sales manager that helped, none of this stuff. And I could kind of see the impending doom coming into the future, that was coming down in the future. And I remember I had just bought a house a few months before, and I was driving towards my house. And there was a guy that was homeless on the side of the road. And I remember thinking to myself, there's a chance like that if this doesn't work out and growing my coaching business and this podcast doesn't work out, that I could lose everything. I could not be able to pay my bills. I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage of my new house that I just bought a couple months ago. My girlfriend at the time could leave me. All of this stuff could happen. I started seeing everything that could possibly happen and go wrong. And I said, and I could be in this guy's position right now. And I could be homeless on the side of the road, holding onto a sign. And I had this thought in my head. And the thought was, but the one thing that couldn't be taken from me is the knowledge that I've gotten to get here. Like all of the knowledge that I've created and put into my mind could at least get me back to where I am right now. And it's the reason why, the knowledge that you have can never be taken from you. That's the most important thing that you have. It's the reason why you can see someone who is a millionaire, they lose it all and then they get it all back. How do they get it all back? Because they've already learned, they've already created the knowledge and the strategy in order to get there. And so the benefit of going through the negative visualization is it takes the uncertainty and it makes you feel more certain. And it's never as bad as you actually think it's going to be. So that's the first reason why. The second reason why is because it actually starts to desensitize you, right? So these things that we're uncertain about in the future, we have a bunch of anxiety because there is so much uncertainty around it. But as you start to actually see it, you feel it, it's there, it seems counterintuitive, but it makes you less anxious because you've already seen the path of destruction. There's no uncertainty anymore. You can actually start to see the path of destruction and what it could be. And then you go, you know what? It's really not that bad. And at the same time, I'm not as anxious about it anymore because I've already seen what it would look like to have that happen, which allows you to be able to start avoiding it. In fact, there was a study in 1996. It was called the Defensive Pessimism, Optimism in Simulating Alternatives. And the research looked at defensive pessimism along with optimism. And it found that visualizing negative alternatives or imagining how past events could have gone worse provided psychological benefits. Defensive pessimists use the strategies to alleviate anxiety and feel more prepared. Isn't that crazy? I'd actually feel more prepared for later on in life, which goes into number 3. What it allows for when you feel more prepared is strategic planning. There's a thing that's in business and it is called the post-mortem process. I actually did this with my business when we hired on our VP of operations. We went through the post-mortem process. Before we ever hired her, we were in the hiring process and we said, hey, let's see what it could look like. If we go on, we bring this thing in and this business completely fails. Let's just see why did it fail? How did it happen? What did it look like? And we started planning all of it out. Well, it failed because of this. And it turned into strategic planning. And what's cool about it is when you start to see, okay, my business failed because of X, Y, Z. Well, then I can write down X, Y, Z on a piece of paper and I can say, how can I make sure that I don't do this, and that my team members do this? If I'm looking at my relationship and I said my relationship failed because I did this, I didn't do this, I didn't spend enough time, she wasn't enough a priority, and I write them all down on a piece of paper, I can start planning through those things. If I say my health failed because of this, and this, well, now that I have those things on a piece of paper, I can start to plan through them. And so when you actually visualize the worst that could happen, it shows you from where you are right now to the actual destruction of it, what happened along the way. And we can basically write down what happened along the way, and we can actually start to plan out how to avoid those roadblocks. That's why people feel more prepared in this study that I just mentioned. They feel less anxious and they feel more prepared because of the fact that they see what's coming up and they can know what roadblocks are coming up to get around them. So you plan out the failure to ensure that the failure doesn't happen. Isn't that kind of crazy? In fact, you want to know another study? In 1997, there was an actual study that was the intersection of effect and function. And the paper dives into a role of what they call counterfactual thinking. And by mentally rehearsing how things could go wrong, people can develop strategies to avoid undesirable outcomes, leading to a more proactive and less anxious approach. Doesn't that sound exciting? And then the last piece of the reason why it really helps is because it feels like, what's crazy about it is by visualizing the impending doom that could possibly be coming around with your business or your life or all of your relationships, everything that's happening to you, is it actually gives you more sense of control. That's pretty crazy. It gives you more sense of control because you've already planned it all out. You've seen what could possibly happen. You've written it all down on a piece of paper. You've made a plan for how to avoid these things. It gives you more sense of control around your future. A lot of times people have anxiety around the future because they don't feel like they're in control of it. There's all of this uncertainty. They don't know what to do with it. You've already seen it all. You've already seen that the worst could happen. You've already planned all of it out, and you planned to get around all of that so that the best could happen. So you see both potential futures, right? You see the best that could happen on one side. You see the worst that could happen. You see both potential futures, which now allow you to see more into the future. And now all you have to do is just take the right action towards the future that you actually want. In fact, there was a study in 1986. It was called Defensive Pessimism, Harnessing Anxiety as Motivation. And the study, this is actually where the study Defensive Pessimism came from. Researchers found that some people who deliberately thought through the worst case scenarios actually were better at managing their anxiety. And these individuals felt more in control of their life, of their future, and felt more motivated to take action because they had a strategy on a piece of paper of how to get to where they want to go. And so it seems, hopefully I didn't scare you off too much in the first half of this podcast episode of like, oh my God, I don't want to envision this negative stuff, this impending doom. But when you can actually start to see what could go wrong, you can actually start to plan through it. And so that's what it comes down to. Please visualize the future that you want. Please visualize all of the success and the happiness and the wealth and the relationships and the joy and abundance and everything that you want. Please visualize that. But also visualize getting punched in the face and then getting hit by a meteor, or whatever it is that you want. Visualize all that stuff so we can make sure that we can also avoid that. Because now you take the uncertainty of the future and you create two potential outcomes and you can create more certainty. The best that could happen, the worst that could happen. Usually what happens, it ends up being somewhere in the middle, but at least a little bit more towards the positive side. It'll relieve your anxiety, it'll help you take action and help you create the life that you want. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please do me a favor. Go ahead. If you just go ahead and take a screenshot, maybe a video of you, wherever you're listening to it, share it on your Instagram stories and tag me in it, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. You can also follow me on Instagram as well. We have over, 500,000 followers that are on there. I try to share at least a couple times a day to try to help you guys get short little tidbits to improve your life. So you could also follow me on Instagram. Once again, it's Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And with that, I'm going to leave the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission, make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Dial. Today, we're going to be talking about laziness, and I'm going to be talking to you about why you might be so lazy. And I'm going to talk to you a different route about laziness. I'm not going to talk about sleep. I'm not going to talk about nutrition. I'm not going to talk about working out, any of that. I'm going to talk to you about why you don't have the energy to do the things that you want to do or to do the things that you feel like you need to do. And you don't have the energy because I think you're out of alignment with the purpose in your life. You are out of alignment with your purpose in your life, which means you're out of alignment with the universe, and you're living a life that's not in line with your soul's purpose. Now, come with me here. This is all going to make sense as we go through it. But you should do more of the things that give you energy, not things that take energy from you. And it's really important because the way that I always say, and no matter what you believe in, just go on this journey with me and see if it resonates in some sort of way. I believe that God or the universe or whatever it is that's out there communicates and comes through to us in energy. Because if you look at the entire universe, every single thing is made of energy. I am made of energy. This desk I'm sitting at is made of energy. This microphone that I'm sitting at and talking into is made of energy. It's just that when you see something like water or air, its energy is moving. The atoms in it are moving a lot quicker. When you look at something solid like this desk or this microphone, the atoms that are moving inside of it are still moving. They're still there. They're just moving at a much slower rate. And everything that holds it all together is energy. And so when we're looking at it, we say, okay, if everything in the universe is made of energy and I'm something that's inside of the universe, shouldn't I start paying more attention to my energy? And you should. If you come back at the end of the day and you're exhausted, not in a good exhausted, but a bad exhausted, and I'll tell you about the two of them, but if you're bad exhausted, it's not for you. Stop doing it. It's not what you're here to do. And so let me tell you a difference between the two of them. A good exhausted could be like, you find something that you love, you're doing it, and you are tired. You are exhausted, but your heart is full. You feel really fulfilled after doing that thing. It's like after a really good workout, like you're tired, but you feel really good about yourself and really good that you did it, right? A bad exhausted is you come home exhausted, you're tired, you're dragging, you don't want to do it again tomorrow. You feel like you spend 5 minutes at work or 5 minutes with some person and you're just like, man, this is exhausting. And that's really where you want to start to think about, like, where is my energy going, where I feel like I get energy, and where is my energy going where I feel like it's not coming back. It's hard. It's hard to do it. And really what I like to talk about is the intersection of your energy and your purpose, and understanding that the intersection of your energy and your purpose is your alignment in life. And when you are aligned in life, the natural byproduct of alignment and taking action in that alignment is fulfillment. And the natural byproduct of fulfillment is happiness. And so the universe and all of its incredible wisdom operates on the principle of alignment. Everything that you see in the entire universe, from the stars in the sky to the plants that you see to the cells inside of your body, functions optimally when it is in harmony with its purpose, when it's in harmony with what it's supposed to do. And if you look at the entire universe outside of humans, because we have minds to make us do something different, the entire universe is very harmonious. The entire world, if you look at the world, everything in the world is very harmonious. There's this harmony that's around. And you could see, like, for instance, a crazy thing, if you look at like the harmony of plants, if you look at a tree, an apple tree, for instance, right? Like an apple tree will have apples and the apples are green. So if it's like red apples, right? And the apples are green before they're actually ready to be eaten, before they're ready for you to be able to eat the seed. Think about this for a second. So the plant, when it's ready, there's a membrane that's on the outside of a seed. And until that membrane is gone and able to be digested and then put into the earth, the apple is going to be green. When the seed itself, the membrane is gone, the apple will start to turn red, which means it is fresh, and then it will be sweet. And it turns red so that it catches the eye of other animals, it catches the eye of us. Those animals eat it. We eat it. We have the seed that's inside of us, and then that seed is supposed to be pooped into another place, which means that the seed is being planted into the ground in a different location outside of the location of the seed and the apple tree where it comes from, so that you can then go ahead and whatever animal has it, poops it into the ground. Like, that is harmony. Another thing that's harmony is we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen for us. Everything is harmony, and everything has energy behind it. And everything in the universe is made of energy. The energy is the most important thing in the universe, and you are part of this thing. And so similarly, when you look at it, our energy levels are directly influenced by how much harmony we have in our life and how aligned we are to what we feel our life's mission is. And if you don't know what your life's mission is, that's fine. That's completely fine at this moment. But as I've said hundreds of times on this podcast, if you don't know what your purpose is, that's fine right now. But it is not okay to not be in constant pursuit to find that purpose every single day. When we're in sync with our purpose, our actions feel more effortless. They feel like we get energy from doing them, and we feel invigorated by the tasks that we have to undertake. And I had heard a quote, somebody saying this one time, but if the entire universe is made of energy, and we are a part of that thing, if we're doing something that's out of alignment with our purpose, we have to provide that energy. Our bodies have to provide that energy. But when we're doing something that is in alignment with our purpose, the universe will provide energy for you. And so, like for me, I know that one of the things that for me, when I was writing my book, I started getting kind of stressed out because I was like, man, this is a lot. This is a big undertaking. Like writing a book is not like a weekend type thing. It's not a month thing. It is a years process, 3 years for me to write the book. And one thing that I started noticing when I was starting to get down and start writing was I started getting a little bit stressed out thinking about this long process that I was in. And I told myself, does this feel aligned with what you're supposed to be doing? It does. Okay, then this will be easy and it will be effortless. It will be easy and it will be effortless. And this affirmation I kept telling myself, it will be easy and it will be effortless. This book will flow through me. It's not from me, it's coming through me. And I must just stay aligned and not get in the way. Because all too often, my thinking is what will get me in the way, right? So I must stay aligned. Does this feel aligned? It does. Okay, I need to get out of the way. And I need to just let it come through me. And that's really what it comes down to. On the other side of not being in alignment, when you have misalignment, it drains you, leaving you feel like you're perpetually tired, unmotivated. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to wake up and go to work anymore. Like I had that before I started doing what I'm doing now. And I felt tired all the time. I started to feel depressed because I was just, I was young and I was making great money, but I was like, I don't want to fast forward 20 years and this is still my life. And I started feeling a little bit of like depression kick in, like I can't continue doing this anymore. I'm not going to be happy following this route. Me now, with what I'm doing now, when I get done with the podcast, I have more energy after the podcast than I did starting the podcast because I feel like this is the thing that gives me energy. And what I tell everybody is if you don't know what it is that you're doing and you don't know what it is that you want to be doing, start asking yourself, where do I get energy? What gives me energy? Because that's like little tiny clues. It's not like the universe comes through and just yells at you, but it's like you need to listen to the whispers, try to search for the energy. Because when you're aligned, it's easy. It's effortless. When you're not aligned, it's like swimming against like a really powerful current. No matter how hard you try, you're barely moving. And you feel exhausted and you feel demoralized. And it's just, you're putting so much effort. And I remember years ago, I felt like I was working so hard. I was working 110 hours a week. And it was the feeling that I've heard from so many people, which is I feel like my wheels are just spinning. Like I'm just stuck in mud and nothing's working. Well, there might be an opportunity for you to see if you're out of alignment in some sort of way. If you consistently feel drained, it's a sign that you're probably out of alignment with your purpose here. So what is your purpose here? My purpose is different than yours, and yours is different than every single other person that's listening. But it's the universe's way, and I say the universe, it could be God to you, it could be whatever you believe in. It's the universe's way of nudging you towards becoming more introspective and being like, what is it that I want? What is it that I desire? What is it that I'm trying to create? And trying to get realigned with what is it you really want to do. And what you have to find in your lifetime is, what do you love? What do you love to do? What gives you energy? What's fun? What's effortless? What's something that you're just so excited about? And so really you have to go on a quest for this purpose and embrace the exploration. You're like a pilgrim. You're just going off into the middle of nowhere and you're trying to find this thing. And it's not always, I wish it were straightforward. It's not always straightforward. Like some of you listening to this podcast, you have a pretty good idea of what your purpose is. Hey, if you're loving this episode, please do me a favor. Give us a like down below for the YouTube algorithm. And if you don't want to miss another episode, hit that subscribe button as well so that you never miss another episode of this podcast. But more often than not, most people, for us, it requires us stepping out of our comfort zone, embracing the unknown, doing things we've never done before. So if you're unsure about your passion, doing the same things over and over again repeatedly, the same shit, different toilet. It's my very first girlfriend's dad used to always say, same shit, different toilet, right? And so it's like, if you feel like every day is that, then you're not going to discover it because you're not doing something new, because you have to do something new to try to find it. So doing the same things over and over again won't bring you more clarity. It's not going to help you out. And so what you have to do is you have to experiment. You have to find new things. You have to take new routes. You have to talk to new people. You have to try new hobbies. You have to cook new food, eat new food, travel to different places. And you have to try to find new experiences, whether it's taking a hobby and just I'm going to try some tennis. I'm going to try horseback riding. I'm going to try go-kart driving, like whatever. Try everything you can. Have as many new experiences as you possibly can. It could be traveling to a place you've never gone before, but you feel that you should go there for some reason. It could be learning a new skill. It could be deepening a skill. Maybe you played guitar when you were younger and you really love it and you want to go back to it. It could be learning a new skill. And when I say purpose, just so you know, purpose doesn't always mean paycheck, which holds a lot of people back. People think that in order for me to find my purpose, I want to start playing guitar, but does that mean I have to become a musician and try to make, my living off of guitar? No, not necessarily. But, maybe you start playing guitar, you start getting really good at it. You have a job that you enjoy, but you're not in love with. But then at the end, on the weekends, you teach children how to play guitar, and that makes you feel like it's your purpose. And so that's really what it comes down to, is exposing yourself to different experiences, to new experiences, and try to find something that like truly resonates with your soul. And so there's a couple recommendations I have for you of really how to figure this out and how to find it. The first thing is what I just call creating a happiness blueprint. And I had a friend who, I've told the story a couple times, but he worked for Facebook. He was one of the very first employees at Facebook. He was like number 13, number 18, something like that. And he was fired from Facebook a few months before they went public. And when they went public, if he would have kept his stock, because they took his stock when they fired him, he would have made like $180 million overnight. And he started to become really depressed because he was fired, number one, and that was like what he was just so excited about, and he loved working there and stuff, and he got fired from it. And then what happened was they went public. He realized how much money he lost out on, and then he started going to depression. And one thing they said to me that I don't think I'll forget the rest of my life is the thing that got him out of depression is he asked himself the question, what makes me happy? And he wrote it down, every single thing that makes him happy, whether it was starting a new business, whether it was playing with puppies, ice cream, sunrises. He wrote down everything. And then what he did was he would take all of those things, that list, that giant list that he had made, and he would look at it every single morning and say, how can I put as many of these things into my day today to try to bring myself more happiness? And the quote that he said that I'll never forget is he said, I will not let my happiness or depression be left up to chance. I'm going to be in control of that. And so what you want to do with the happiness blueprint is to create a list of activities that bring you joy. It's actually a happy list that serves as your compass, guiding you towards experiences that might align a little bit more with that true inner self. And remember that you want to prioritize your happiness. This isn't like a luxury. It's really a necessity if you're trying to live a fulfilling life. It's not a luxury to be happy and to do something that you love and to have activities that you love. It's a necessity for living a life that's really fulfilling. Doing things that make you happy is like playing a video game and you get to hit like the power up button in the video game. So that's the first thing, is to make a happiness list and the blueprint for yourself. And you might just, like I said, lack energy or not have the energy or the motivation simply because you lack your purpose. So you have to figure out what's happy is you doing what makes you happy over and over and over again. You start to see and try new experience and go, oh, well, I didn't really like that. No big deal. I'm going to throw that one to the curb. Oh, I really did like that. I'm going to add that to my happiness list. From your happiness list, you start to find out a little bit more about what your purpose is. And it makes it easier to take action when you know what your true purpose is. The next thing that you want to do is to do something called Ikigai. And I've spoken about this in the podcast before. It's in my book as well. And Ikigai is a Japanese phrase that stands for, in Japanese translated over to English, is reason for being, like your reason for being alive. And it composed basically of 4 questions. And what you want to do is you want to take a pen and paper and you want to put each question at the top of the page, flip the page, put another question, flip the page to the other question, flip the other page. And you ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1 is, what do I love? And you write that down, and then you just write down every single thing that you love. Once again, it could be puppies, it could be sunrises, it could be working out, it could be traveling. Write down every single thing that you love. It could be really big, it could be really small, it could be your children, it could be, mowing the grass. I don't know what it is, but find out, what is it that you love? Next question you ask yourself is, what are you good at? And you find stuff that you're good at. Something that you have a little bit of a skill set that maybe you've developed over time, something that you could become better at in there as well. Next question is, what can you be paid for? And then the next question is, what does the world need? And the idea of it is, if you can find the intersection of what you love to do, what you're good at, what can you be paid for, and what the world needs, you're really probably going to figure out what your passion is in life, what your purpose is in life. And then another question that I always add to Ikigai is, what are you really interested in learning more about, or trying to do more of, or trying for the first time? So what are you really interested in? What do you want to learn more about? Like for me, most people don't want to sit down and read cognitive behavioral therapy books, but I do, because it's really interesting to me. Most people don't want to sit down and learn more about neurology and psychology and early childhood development, but I do, just because those things give me energy. They're so intriguing to me. Humans are so damn intriguing to me. And so those things I'm really interested in, and I always want to get better at. And I would read all of those things if I didn't have a podcast, if I didn't coach people, if I didn't coach business owners, any of that. I would still be really interested in it. And so once again, the questions are, what do you love? What are you good at? What can be paid for? And what does the world need? That's the 4 questions for Ikigai. And my extra question is, what are you really interested in learning more about, or trying to do more? Because here's what's really interesting is, when you're doing something that you love, you have the energy. Time just seems to fly. You don't have to come up with energy. Like, one of the things I love doing, I used to hate doing because I was really self-conscious more than anything else, and I didn't have the skill set to it, was I love public speaking. Like, I love sitting here and speaking on a microphone, but it's me in a room by myself speaking to my microphone and a camera for those that are watching on YouTube. But when I get in front of people, it's another level of energy. And we did an event a few weeks ago, and it was all day event over multiple days. And people were like, man, you must be exhausted. And at the end of the day, I was like, I have so much energy, and it doesn't make any sense because I shouldn't have energy. I've been working so hard the past few days. I've been putting every ounce of energy into the event, but for some reason I have so much energy at the end. Why? Because I feel like, for me, that's just my life purpose. And this is why time flies when you're having fun, but time seems to go really slow when you're doing something that you hate and you're dragging your feet and you don't have any energy. If you feel like you don't have energy, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, if you feel like you're not going anywhere, if you feel like you're trying to swim upstream, it's basically like the universe saying, hey, dude, this isn't for you. It's the universe speaking to you. Are you listening? It's why you can see people. And one of the things I love about Facebook, and now being 37 years old, is I can see people who I grew up with. And sometimes I see someone, I'm like, man, they're 37 because they graduated with me, but they look like they're 30 years old. And then there's some people that I see and they look like they're 50 years old. And it's sure, there's how they take care of themselves. There's, all of that stuff, working out, diet, alcohol, how much they drink, all of that is in there as well. But I tend to find the people who are doing something that they love seem to have a very youthful appearance to them, a youthful feeling. Their energy is just different than someone who's not doing something that you love. And really what it comes down to is, if you're doing something that you hate, something that's sucking the soul out of you, it is exhausting. I've been there. I know what it feels like. I was 29 years old and I was like, I cannot do this anymore because I don't know what I'm going to look like in 20 years, but this can't be the path. And so really what I want you to start to think about is, if you're lazy, if you feel unmotivated, just ask yourself, is this my purpose in life? Do I feel like there might be something else? If there is, start to be curious. You don't have to solve any problems. You don't have to have a purpose that solves the world hunger or any of that type of stuff. What you just really have to do is just to find what feels right to you. Find the stuff that gives you energy. And the key of all of this is energy, because the universe speaks in energy. It comes through you in energy, talks to you in that way. And if you can just have your spidey sense up a little bit more of like, does this make me happy? Does this feel fulfilling? Do I feel energetic? Do I get excited thinking about going and doing this? Do I feel more excited after doing it? Do I feel like I have more energy after it? Those are the things that you're really searching for. So one of the reasons why, probably the key reason why you might not be motivated and you might be lazy, is because you just might be out of alignment with what your true purpose is. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please do me a favor, share it on your Instagram stories and tag me in at Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. There's an entire chapter in my book about your purpose. So if you do want to read my book to get a little bit more of an idea of how to discover your purpose, there's an entire chapter out of 12 chapters that have inside the book that is just on purpose and discovering your purpose and following it. You can buy my book. It is called Level Up. how to get focused, stop procrastinating, and upgrade your life. If you want to go ahead and pre-order it, it comes out on October 3rd is when it comes out. You can go to robdial.com/book. You can pre-order it. If you are listening to this before October 3rd, everyone who pre-orders it will be entered into a drawing for a pool of cash and prizes of over $25,000 in cash and prizes. And every single person who pre-orders it will automatically get a free mini course on how to stop procrastinating. It is called the Get Off Your Ass Masterclass. And you can get that as well at robdial.com/book after you order it. With that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.